study conducted of about 11,000 people, 46% of Americans are not getting enough protein in their diet. There is a wonderful option called Lower Carbs. It's a protein shake. It's got 4 different types of proteins that are time released. They are pasture raised ingredients, and it tastes wonderful. You guys can opt for this wonderful protein shake at lowercarbswithnatalie.com. Muchachos y muchachas. So if we were about, 2 years back, many people would flog us for this particular thing, this food item with the gate theory, right? They would shun us from society. They would absolutely snatch our wigs and tell us to go somewhere and to shut up because this is all crazy, right? And you know, what I can say and attest to is there are personalities and influencers out there, accounts that do fabricate and conflate certain things that may not be necessarily true. They might be far-fetched, but they will state them as facts. And unfortunately, it does get conflated with, the bigger picture, and that's what discredits the entire thing. You know, what I will say out of my personal opinion about food item and gate theory is that there were some pretty valid questions there. There were some pretty valid things that were pointed out. More questions than we do have answers, or more questions than we ever had answered ever, right? A lot of language that was used in emails, and we are rightful to question all of that. Well, I can't say that I have more answers for you today, but what I can say is that me and my team over at Counter Trafficking Alliance have been on this rabbit hole for the past week that we wish we never had to go down. But as it did present itself, it is very important to let you know, because it did actually affect a mother ever since we put this dig out. It affected a mother who had her child's photo taken. Now, let me back up a little bit and give you guys a little bit more explanation so you know what I'm talking about. Now, if you're like me, you remember, the information age, or let me backtrack. I'm showing my age a little bit here. I am a 90s kid, okay? So if you're anybody like me who is a millennial, a older millennial, Gen X, boomer, all that, then you probably remember that the internet was not as widely used as we see it today. We actually are probably one of the last breeds of humans that have seen the analog nature of our operational society and see it transform into what we see it today, where now we have all of the information here at our fingertips. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because we've had, although the internet is very young, right? I would say it's like 40, 50 years old, something like that. I don't know. It's pretty young still though. And, but we're now in 2023 and we don't have any modern legislation or modern remediations to this type of problem online that is inappropriately exhibiting children. That's how I'm going to put it. So I'll start with this. There are accounts on Instagram that right now at this very moment are actively putting children on exhibition. And a lot of these photos are inappropriately taken out of context, right? Some of them might be ballet photos. Some of them might be gymnastics photos of little girls. Some of them might be dancers, like actual, they're part of a dance troupe, and they are just stolen photos. And what is happening is that these accounts, rather than they be, and even this would be creepy if it was like, hey, these are sports girls or whatever, all these ballerinas. It's an actual, the motive behind these accounts is to host a centralized photo account of these little girls for older men who are into that, who are fans of little girls, to go and gander at. And this is troubling. Like I said, once I put this first little bit out there on my Twitter, which, by the way, if you're not following me or the Counter Trafficking Alliance account, these are the tags here. Go on Twitter, find those and follow. Now, once I put this out there, a friend of a mother did comment that one of her friend's kids was actually found on one of these accounts, and that it was just a photo that was, it was just, you know, an out of context photo that was taken from a Facebook. And that's the first warning that I'm going to put out there for you guys, is that, you know, if you are parents, if you are grandparents, if you are aunties or uncles, and you do have children, you know, in your lives, please think about it. I mean, it's back in the 90s, you know, before that, I'm a 90s kid. Yeah, I didn't experience a childhood before that, but you guys can answer up if you did. We didn't have that problem, right? We might have had the bathtub photos. You know, we might have had the playing outside with the water hose photos. You know what I mean? Like, or playing with the sprinkler. It's not an innocent time anymore. If a photo of your child, of your nephew, of your niece, of your grandchild is out on the internet, whether or not it is intended to be anything, there is going to be a creep out there that is stalking for that photo. They are going to take it, and it is going to end up on an account just like this. Okay. And the reason why I say that is because some of these pictures are just normal, you know, headshots. They're normal, fully clothed children. And then in the comments, you have the most vile things that are being said and commented about these girls. Okay. So I wanted to make that very first point. So there's that, right? There's that type of scenario. And then there's also the straight up, these are girls, we're coercing them or telling them to make these type of videos out there, and they are out open public profiles on Instagram. This one in particular was terrifying to go through, because you see very, very young girls just doing the most unimaginable things that you would ever think, right, on camera. And this is a public profile. So this is where I sort of prove my point on the whole edible food item gate theory, right? This is something that we learned about, and then we just kind of forgot about, or we were shunned away from society from talking about, right? Because we were told we were crazy. We were told that we're conspiracy theories, all of that and above, right? Until we started looking at all of these linked profiles to the very exploitative account out there. And I'm going to show you some of this additional material. Of course, everything is censored. I've got to censor it extra well here on YouTube. But these are profiles. These have absolutely no pictures on them, because a lot of these accounts are private, and I'm going to show you why. And you'll probably see why in the bios, but you see here there is a lot of that edible food item, the pizzas, as icons, as emojis, as descriptors, right? You even see the heart rings, right? I think that's one of the FBI declassified symbols, if you guys know what I mean. Once again, just a lot of cheese, a lot of pizza emojis. You guys get the picture here. There was one profile that said a kid's inappropriate chonies shop. You guys can read it for yourself. And yes, this is existing on Instagram as we speak. Once again, more symbology, some of the most recognizable symbols that we've seen. This is all stuff that kind of seems like part of the edible item gate fairy tale, right? We thought that all of this was just fiction. We thought, you know, not all of us, but we were told that all of this is fiction. We need to stop talking about it. There was a great purge on Instagram back in 2020. I was unfortunately affected by that. And a lot of those subject matters were part of my content, you know, so things like this happen to people who talk about it. And then you have profiles that are literally exhibiting that very thing. Now, this is where it gets dicey, because you're probably thinking by now, Nat, prove your point. Okay, so what, they have, pizza emojis in their profile. What does that mean? Well, then you come across these types of profiles here that actually solicit. So for instance, there's one right here that says pizza trade, and then it gives you a, handle. And then it has 𝑡.me, which 𝑡.me, if you guys are Telegram users, know that that is a Telegram link, right? And then I'm going to prove my point with this one as well. Here's another one that also is the same thing, just a different Telegram link. And so we had one of our decoys actually reach out on Telegram to see what exactly this type of solicitation entailed, in which I will just read out what the decoy wrote. It says, "I'm hungry for some pizza." The other end said, do eat something. And then the decoy says, "You got anything to eat or what?" And then the the account holder says, "OMG, man, right normal. Yes, I have many vids in very good quality, 6 to 14 YO. You guys know what that means. You guys can read the rest, right? That's the type of content that he had. "Everything you want, only exchange. I don't sell for money. If you write to me first, you must start exchange. It's simple." And so the decoy then, of course, because we have no idea how this works, says, "Well, blank. I was hoping I could buy. I don't trust this stuff, man. Sorry. Didn't know it was an exchange." So then the account holder of this pizza solicitation account then sends the decoy a very inappropriate picture, okay, that I 100% had to block out. And this is what he's basically saying is the currency to exchange. Now, after this experience, this particular experience, one of our CTA members, Counter Trafficking Alliance members, did speak to two different entities. Number one, local law enforcement, and then to the three-letter agency, the F, the B, and the I, to see what we could do to see how we can, garner more action, or garner more actions to be taken about this matter. And I'll just let you know, I'm going to preface you that it was disappointing all in all. Local law enforcement, for instance, gave us the response after just inquiring, right, that it depends on the location of the crime, and it depends on the local jurisdiction of, someone who would call. For instance, me, you, let's say I'm in Houston and this thing is happening in the Philippines, right? There's no jurisdiction, allegedly, unless this went to like a bigger thing, like, an investigation, like a federal investigation. So then that's what transcends us to the F, the B, and the I, in which a report was taken, right? They got down to details, but this was not guaranteed to turn into a case. So therefore, they were not obligated to do anything, which it's like, when we really think about it, it's like, what can we do? What can we do? We call local law enforcement, we call the three-letter agency, and both of them are telling us that they have got their hands tied behind their backs. So what can we do? We just allow this to happen on social media platforms? This is asinine, right? These are children that are on platforms, and I'm going to prove my point a little further. So what we just transcended through, let's recap, right? There are pictures and of media of children, little girls, right? Both age, both sexes, by the way, boys and girls. What we saw were a lot more girls than boys. And these are pictures of, it's a mixture of either these are stolen pictures from parental accounts, or these are little girls that are coerced into doing what they are doing to create that content. And that is a problem. That is absolutely a problem. And Instagram is allowing this to be hosted without a hitch. Okay, I'm going to transcend a little further. So this is another account in which does not feature a pizza emoji. However, I want to show you this because this exhibits that this is pretty straightforward. You don't need a pizza emoji. You don't need coded language. It's straightforward. They're straight up soliciting images. So you guys can see here, right? This is a little girl. Of course, it's distorted. I'm not going to allow you to see anything. But you can see the Telegram link in the bio, which is an explicit word. And then the decoy then reached out to that Telegram, said, "Any girls in here?" And then the account user then responds, "Hi, $30 for 100 videos. I accept Bitcoin." And then sends another message that says CP. So, and you guys can see here, this is the contact for Telegram. Now, The thing that just once again just so extraordinary to me is that Instagram has the ability to host so many of these profiles, right? Like, think about the algorithms that could be formed to detect these types of things, to detect these types of languages, right? Not necessarily in a way where it just totally invades your privacy, but in a way that they have sniffed out our wrong thing, right? Like, we think the wrong opinion, they will immediately take down our post, or they will flag it. They'll put fact checkers all over us, right? But when it comes to things like this, where there are embedded links in the bios, right? There's nothing that has been done to prevent this on Instagram. And I'm going to exhibit that a little bit further. All right, so let's get back to the topic of pizza, right? We found multiple artificial intelligence generated image accounts. And I'm going to tell you or present an argument here, or something that's a troubling idea rather, that I want you to really think about. Now, this one is straight up like just you're feeding into the conspiracy theory at this point, right? Because it can't get more straight up than this. This is an account of AI generated girls. And these little girls all are holding a pizza. Okay. Now, I'm going to read you this description here before I proceed further and read further descriptions and photos. Now, once again, I want to remind you, these are not real girls. These are depictions of girls taken by AI generated apps. Okay. So this is what it says. This is was taken from their account. It says, I'm posting pictures of the girls I work with delivering pizza in our religious community. We work hard and love pizza. Let me know who you would like the most delivering to your house, who gets the best tip. And then it has a kissy emoji with the heart, right? So this is obviously, if you can make out what this is a fantasized account. This is an account full of followers who fantasize about these made up girls and in made up scenarios in their heads that are absolutely sick. Now, I'm going to transcend through some of these comments just so you understand. And you guys can pause this video and read the comments if you want to. They are sick. Let me just warn you and preface you that they are sick. So first, we've got this photo of this AI generated girl holding a pizza that says "my best friend." And then in the comments, you see a bunch of these accounts that are just in admiration of the little girl. And then this one comment that just is very sick, because you know what type of followers they have, that says that the AI girl is sleeping over. And then there's an emoji. Okay. There's another photo of a little AI generated girl that says, after a man takes a girl for his bride, she then wears white. Obviously, this little girl, if she were real, would probably portray someone in their either tweens or younger, right? Maybe younger. This is what the caption reads. After a man takes a girl for his bride, she then wears white. And then there are comments under it. And then we found these, right, that are just the caption is just very uncomfortable. One of the most requested pizza delivery girls. And then this next one that says, biting her lip with excitement. Today is her first delivery. Okay. Now, this is what I'm going to say. Okay. This is the argument, or this is rather the troubling thought that comes to mind, is that this is not going to exterminate the problem whatsoever, right? Sick people like this who are sick fans of this type of stuff, they're not going to go away if we make fake little girls, if we make fake images of little girls. What it's going to do is it's going to surge, it's going to fuel the demand. It's going to fuel the demand. It's what it's always going to do. It's the same thing as the porn industry, right? And whether you whether you agree with me or not, it does just that. It keeps on raising. And there's a whole thing that I can say about, how it affects the mind and creates new neural pathways, when it comes to the PORN. You're always raising the bar to create new neural pathways in your head, in your nervous system, right? And so it does the same thing for these sick people who already have created those neural pathways for these sick thoughts. And then you create an environment where you make it permissible for them to look at these images of girls and fantasize about them. Well, what's the next step? You tell me. It's going to fuel the demand. Okay? Now, what's the supply? You guys can say it in the comments. There's only so much that I can say, but yeah. So, this had me thinking because we kind of just went through a scenario during the holidays over Balenciaga, right? What was found underneath that purse? There was literature of a court case. You guys remember? What was that? It was Ashcroft versus the Free Speech Coalition. And what was the entire fight under that? It was the idea that, I'm just going to paraphrase here, but it's not exploitation. It's not CSAM exploitation if it's not a real girl, or if it's not a little boy, if it's not a child, right? If it's generated, if it's, cartoons, things like this, well, you're not exploiting little girls or little boys. It's that, right? That's what it was arguing. So they're saying, if CSAM CP is actually not an actual, how do I say this? It's not an actual girl or not an actual boy that's acting out the act. It's like something else, like a cartoon. Then it's not actually harming the kid. That's the whole argument, and that's the thing that's pushing the boundaries to allow more and more and more and more things like this. I'm going to show you why this is disturbing, right? As we transcend, we found a lot more little accounts like this that were AI generative. This one dubbed itself like a CGI account, in which it had created images of little girls figures of little girl faces, childlike faces with womanly bodies. And in the caption, it would read 18-year-old. Okay, so they're able to get away with it because they found a loophole. They generated these are fake little girls, fake women, whatever, like we know that they intend these to be little girls, but it's like a girl face, woman body hybrid. And they're calling them 18-year-olds. And that's how they're able to get away with it. But look at this. It's really disturbing because once again, the faces are just so young. They look like little girls. Okay. And when you take a closer look at these images, for instance, you can see these little girl faces. You can see very vulgar type of comments, very vile type of comments from what I believe mostly adult males that are fantasizing over all of this, right? And it doesn't stop there. There's a lot more other AI type of accounts out there. And, it's like a network. It is genuinely like a network. You go to their followers, you go to who they're following, you can see, what type of people are within this whole realm. And it's led us to accounts that are actually of foreign children, foreign girls that are being coerced onto make content. We'll just say it like that. We found an infant. That was shown. Yes, fully shown. And of a grown man right? Like this is all on Instagram, by the way. This is what all exists on Instagram. So we've gone through Telegram links. There are actual accounts that feature Telegram links that link to these type of explicit accounts that are soliciting this type of material. And you would think that Instagram would have an easy way to report this. And as we had multiple people report this, these were the response by Instagram, and the majority of them did not take action. They didn't take these accounts down. They left them up and said that they were not violating the rules. In fact, when you when you try to report this, there is not a direct option to report this as like an underage account or anything like that. It says to go to their help center. And I want to take it back to that. Like, let's take it back to the argument about the AI. The thing that is very troubling is that, you know, okay, Instagram they're not going to take it down. They don't have easy options to report these types of accounts or anything. So what that tells me, as someone who has dealt with data and databases in the past, you know, are they not keeping a repository? Like, could you imagine how that could help law enforcement in the future? Like, if they could detect these types of criminal behaviors, criminal, you know, accounts and personalities and things like that. Like, they're very quick on us to trace our steps and know our locations, right? They want to trace our facial features and all of that. But when it comes to these sick people, they don't want to know anything. They don't want to trace them, right? They don't want to help law enforcement in future cases. But even more troubling, when we're talking about the AI generated girls on these accounts, they actually suggest not only more AI generated accounts, they suggest the profiles of actual children, of actual girls. Why is that? Because if we revisit the concept of this AI account, there's no language to suggest that these are actual little girls. Right there in the bio, it says, and it's an 18-year-old CGI character, right? So why in the hell would Instagram suggest little girl profiles, little girl accounts to the end user? That doesn't make any sense to me. And honestly, it paints something a lot more nefarious. And, you know, this is a big problem. We need our representatives to catch up. If they are not keen on the internet or internet culture, what's going on the internet, right? We need new representatives. And I want you all to keep that in mind. If they don't know what the hell to do, they need to get the hell out of office. This is a big problem. It's going to affect your children. It's going to affect your future generational, you know, children. And this is only going to hurt our society a lot more. And I needed to just bring this to your attention. So guys, I know that this was not an easy video. I mean, this was definitely one of the most darker rabbit holes that I've ever had to go down. I told my CTA member, one of my CTA members yesterday, that after this, I wanted to go bleach my eyes and like throw my phone, because it's just like the dark rabbit hole that exists on Instagram should not even be there. But I want you guys to please send this video. If you are in contact with your representatives, please send it to them. We need our leaders to act on this. There has to be framework in a bill somewhere that would prevent this from happening, that could allow for, you know, law enforcement to take swifter action. Something has to be done. And it just right now in 2023, at the beginning of this year, this is just being allowed to infiltrate our society, and it is getting darker and scarier. But now that you know about it, it's up to you to take action. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Please do let me know if you do send this to your representative. I would so wholeheartedly appreciate that, because a lot of action needs to be taken in this regard, because this is very, very scary. With that being said, I'd like to thank once again my team over at Counter Trafficking Alliance. I'd like to thank 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘢𝘏𝑔𝘐22 on Instagram for the collaboration, as well as Matrix is the Womb on Twitter. So guys, go give them a follow, tell them that I sent you, and thank them for their service in this entire research project. Oh, and believe me, we're not done. We are not done. So, you know, keep alert. We're going to keep hammering at it. And believe me, there's a lot more that we're working on. So with that, thank you all so much for your love and support. I will catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.